Well, welcome to another episode of the Distinguished Gentleman, a leadership empowerment podcast for men. I have a great show for you today. I'm very excited for the guest that I have on today. But before I introduce him, we're going to talk money. We're going to talk finances. We're going to wake you up financially today.
Welcome to the Damien and Tamisha Show. Each week, power couple Damien and Tamisha are taking you behind the scenes with successful influencers to share their secrets on creating a successful brand and tackling your biggest business and relationship struggles. Their mission, to help you see whatever you want is possible. Build the business and life of your dreams today.
Before I get into that, let me talk about our guest, Ash Cash. Ash Cash is a 15-year banking professional. He's a personal finance expert. He's also a motivational speaker, and he is the author of 2 Amazon best-selling books. One is the Mind Right, Money Right. I like that. 10 Laws of Financial Freedom, and What the FICO. I like that. 12 Steps to Repairing Your Credit, which is very important too. He is head of the financial education and financial empowerment coach, Bank Mobile, the first all-digital, no-fee bank in the country. He is also a financial teacher as well as a leadership council member of the World of Money Financial Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower youth with an immersed financial and technology education, creating financially responsible adults, one child at a time. That's dope. He's also widely recognized for his passion for entrepreneurship and financial literacy. Ash is on the forefront of a movement that is encouraging individuals to be socially and financially responsible. He's also known for his motivational column titled The Daily Word, which reaches out to thousands of people daily through his own email community, as well as social media and partnerships with high-traffic international websites. His audio version of The Daily Word has garnered over 200,000 downloads and is frequently heard in 39 countries. Ash has also established himself as a thought leader and a trusted voice with corporate America, colleges, churches, and community-based organizations. Through his message of his fiscal responsibility, entrepreneurship, and wealth empowerment, he has become a regular speaker at national conferences across the country. Ash has also been featured on popular national media outlets such as CNN, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, American Banker, CNBC, TheStreet.com, Black Enterprise, Essence Magazine, Ebony, BET, PIX11, Morning News, and countless of others. He is the host of his own radio show titled The Ash Cash Show, which airs Sunday at 1 p.m. on WHCR 90.3 FM New York with a current reach of 2.2 million listeners. Man, we got a powerhouse on it. Above all of his credentials, accolades, and titles, Ash is simply known for helping people maximize their full potential. He thoroughly enjoys his life in metropolitan New York area. Big up, shout out to New York. He resides with his wife and 2 children. And so, listen.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Man, we got a big dog on today, man. And, like I said, I've been hunting Ash Cash down for a while, and I got him on the show. Yeah. So, I'll pat my back for that one. But I know I already, I said a lot about you, but briefly, Ash Cash, tell the listeners about your business and your movement.
Yeah, man. One thing that I don't have on there, which I should, which is what the most important thing is that I'm a kid from Harlem, man. I'm a kid from the projects. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up in St. Nicholas projects, 129th Street, 8th Avenue, born and raised. And I think why that's important, why is the most important part of it is because my movement and what I do every day is I'm a champion for the underdog. That's it. Is that like my movement is for those who, for whatever reasons, and whatever your background is, wherever you come from, whatever your circumstance is, for whatever reasons, if somebody counted you out, if they told you you weren't going to amount to anything, if they told you do something, if they told you, if people were putting limitations on your life, I use my platform to show people that it doesn't even matter. It's really about your mindset. Whatever you put your mind to do, you can do. And so being a banking professional, I started out, in finance where I help people get their finances together, but, the movement is bigger than finance. It's about, getting the mindset right so you can have a better life, a better relationship, better business, better love life, everything, it's mind right, life right, So really, I'm humbled to be able to have, have these rich experiences and these opportunities, but not just so I can say I've done them, but just to be an example to people who have ever counted themselves out, to say, listen, it really doesn't matter, where you come from. You could do anything that you put your mind to.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for saying that, Ashcash, because I want the listeners and the men to understand that, we all come from dark places in our lives. We, everything wasn't given to us or handed to us. We actually went out and worked to get where we are now. So, I don't care I do care, but I don't care what your experiences are, because we tend, people that are living ordinary lives, no pun intended, live their lives because they create a story around what their current environment looks like, and they don't want to step out in faith and don't want to do the work to get where they need to be. So it's easier to stay in self-doubt. It's easier to stay in the negative thoughts and with the crab barrel mentality, because, it takes work, and it takes tenacity, and it takes endurance to make, power moves to get yourself out of them situations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you said something that's really key, is that it is easy. It's easy to blame something, right? It's easy to say, it's because of my circumstance, or it's because of this, or it's because of that. It's easy to do that. And so, what I know when I was coming up, I started to believe some of that as well, right? Like, it was easy for me to be like, well, I have a single parent home, my pops ain't around, so this is what I got to do. Or, my mom is always working, she's not in the house. I'm raised by the streets, so this is what I got to do. So it was easy for me to do that. But one of the things that I actually wrote this in one of my book, Mind Right, Money Right, Tools of Financial Freedom, is that there's something called see more, be more, meaning that the more you experience, right, the more you broaden your horizons, the easier it's now going to be to change that narrative. A lot of times, people believe what's in front of them. They believe what's being given to them. So if you are in an environment where they're telling you what you can and can't do, and that's all then yes, you're gonna have that narrative. You're gonna believe that. So I appreciate podcasts like this. I appreciate people who are on the movement to enlighten folks, to say, listen, there is a different narrative, and if you just open up your mind and change your thought process, right? It's all about perspective. You can look at your situation and say to yourself, well, it's because of this situation that I haven't gone where I need to go. Or you can look at it and say, it's because of the situation why I'm going, why there is no limits. Why, if I was able to survive this, imagine what else I could survive. So it's really important to change that narrative, change that thought process, change that paradigm in order to get what what's deserving to us, what's owed to us, born to get. Not like nobody's giving us anything, right? Like, we are born great. We are born with our greatness, but it's up to us to be willing to go out and get the food, right? The food is laid out for you, but you have to get up. You're going to have to fix your own plate. You're going to have to feed yourself. But at the same time, there's nothing stopping you from getting the food. You just got to be willing to be able to get the food.
Absolutely. And, in addition to all of the jewels that you just dropped, Ashcash, one of the things that we have to start doing as individuals and as men is start to level ourselves up, start to associate ourselves with people who are going to bring us up.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, when you live in that story of self-doubt, we tend to stay around people who self-doubt each other, people who feel that they can't be bigger than what they actually are. They don't want to do the work. So I encourage the listeners, if you're in that cloud of, my friends, I feel like I got to dumb myself down, because I've been there. I've dumbed myself down many a times in the past to assimilate with people who I knew didn't have the ability to level me up at that particular point in their life. Right. So, another question I have for you, Ashcash, was, the two books, the best-selling books on Amazon that I definitely want to give you a shout out for.
For sure.
What made you decide to create and tell that story?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the first was, for me, was being in banking. So, growing up in the projects, there's a certain narrative that we have about money. We have these negative connotations with money. Money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. All these negative things that we tell ourselves about money. And because of that, we don't look at success in a favorable eye. We look at success as if, in order to get it, you have to do something evil, or you have to cut people's throat. And, like there's just a negative connotation towards it. And as I started to work in the banking field, I was gaining access to people who had a lot of money. And I realized that, the difference between people who don't have money and the people who do have money is really just a mindset. Again, there were people who were, who had nothing and were able to gain, wealth. There were people who, had sweet situations who were able to gain and maintain their wealth. So there wasn't this one size fit all narrative around wealth that I was taught. It was really that, that it's really about the mindset. And when I looked at it and I studied and I read and I, looked at my own personal experience, I looked at the experiences of others, I realized that if someone is really serious about getting their money right, the first thing that they absolutely have to do is get their mind right. And so in 2009, I wrote the book, Mind Right, Money Right, 10 Laws of Financial Freedom. I rewrote it in 2011 as I gained, more insights and wanted to add some more things into it. But really, it's a book that teaches people 10 laws of financial freedom. These are the 10 things that you need to understand in order to get your finances together. And I start with, self-confidence. I start with having a positive mental attitude. I start with the things that, a lot of financial experts and financial educators don't really teach. And it's really, like how you view yourself is going to have a big effect on how much money you make, how successful you are, how, your outlook, right? Having a positive outlook, no matter what the situation is, going to have a ginormous, a big effect on, your success. So, those were the things that I had to tackle first and help people get their minds and their money right. And then when I wrote What the FICO, one of the things I realized was that there are so many people that have issues with credit. There's 44 million people, especially with the Great Recession and people trying to bounce back from that. And so it felt like everybody was coming to me asking me, should I pay $1,000? Should I pay $2,000? What is it? How do I fix my credit? And there were people, companies taking advantage of that. Companies who are charging thousands of dollars to, money that people didn't have to do things that they could actually do themselves. So I decided to write the book as a guide, right? There are going to be times where you have to pay somebody. Maybe you don't have the time to do it yourself because, fixing your credit is a tedious process. So maybe you don't have the time, but I wanted to write a book that would at least give you the option that, let me pay $10 and read this book first. And then if it's too much to do, I can't do it myself, then I pay somebody, but let's not pay somebody as the first resort. And that's why I wrote the 2 books. And it's really, my whole mission has been around just helping people. So as I learn, I want to teach, people how to, live a life of abundance because that's what is promised to it.
Right. Absolutely. And I appreciate that. And that's why that was another reason why I had to get you on the show, because we both have similar interests, and that interest is empowering people, creating leaders, creating financially responsible adults as well. Like you've been doing. And one of the things my genius is the mindset, and stay tuned, listeners, for an online membership program that I'm creating called the Mindset Revolution. And one of the things that I really focus on is basically helping people complete their past and arrange the meeting with their true purpose that they've been called to do. And the thing is, so many people are clouded because they really know what they want to do, but especially coming from the hood or something like that, certain things that people want to do might not sound glamorous to the hood per se.
Right.
But we're, like you said, we're breaking down those paradigms, and we're shifting the paradigms to help people live and do what they are called to do. Because it all starts with the mindset. And the bottom line is, some of the things that I talk about is, in order to, I kind of use the analogy of a car dashboard. So you have the steering wheel, which represents the present, your front windshield, which represents the future, and your rearview mirror represents the past. The problem that people have in life is they're looking through the rearview mirror. They continue to live in their past, and what's happening as a result is their rearview mirror has gotten so big that they actually think that they're looking out of their front windshield when they're actually looking into their past.
Absolutely.
So, I go deep into the dark alleys of people's lives, and we shake things up. I drive people to failure, meaning, like when you lifting weights and you can't lift that 200 pounds, we're gonna help you tear down those muscles so you can create the endurance. So in other words, once we train the mind, the body will follow. So that's pretty much basically what we're both doing, and it's so many parallels to what we do.
Absolutely.
And so what mindset what was your mindset when you created this movement? I want the listeners to really understand how did you come to this, to this level of you wanted to help people, or you you started to, what's the word for it? You started to embrace that you wanted to help people.
No, absolutely. I think for me, the first mindset that I had was really about belief in myself first, right, and belief in my abilities, because there's this narrative that I've always told myself where, like, I knew that I wanted to help people. It was in my heart to help people, but I wanted to get to a certain level before I did that. I looked at it and was like, all right, if I'm going to help people, I need to attain a certain level of success, and I'm going to start there. And then, so I had to realize that regardless of, where I was, at the moment where I started this business, and, I'm actually going on 10 years, right? I started my business officially December of 2006. So December will make 10 years since I started this movement. And when I first started, I literally said to myself, listen, I believe in my gift. I believe in what I'm doing. I'm going to reach out to people in my immediate circle. I started out with a list of 50 people, just 50 people, sending messages of encouragement, sending money tips, and just doing that. And it grew to a movement that, is actually beyond me now, meaning that it goes, it reaches certain people, but then people continue to spread it, and they continue to, spread the word, and, celebrities and entertainers and executives, spread the message that I spread, which is I'm just being used as a vessel to do it. And so I had to believe in that. I had to believe in myself. I had to believe in my abilities. I had to believe that this is what I was being put on earth to do. This is why I went through so many circumstances and so many situations. When I look at a lot of, like, my story is no different than, anybody else's. And when I look at, some of the outcomes and some of the people, and, the same exact situation where they ended up, and then look at my situation where I ended up, I realized, I said, you know what, I'm here for a reason. And one thing that the other mindset, which is, it coincides with belief, is that when you are given a gift, the gift isn't yours, right? So, like, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever you believe in, your higher power did not put you on this earth and give you these experiences so you can hold that experience to yourself. The experience was given to you so that you can bless other people, right? So you are giving gifts to bless other people, and you do not have the right to hold this gift to yourself. You don't have the right to say, I'm not ready, I'm not going to do this, or I'm, because that gift was given to you to bless other people. And that's what I had to realize. I had to realize that whether I like it or not, I have been chosen to be a messenger, and I have to give that message to the people that need the message. So at the time when I started my business, I didn't know, I hadn't really spoken anywhere, really hadn't really done anything. And you have to faith it till you make it, right? You have to jump out on faith, and you have to take that leap. And if you have that calling, ready or not, right? You're never going to be fully ready. Ready or not, you're going to jump into it. And that was really the mindset. That was really what allowed me to walk in my purpose. Was like, you know what, this is what I'm being called to do. And because I'm being called to do it, I'm not going to be led astray. I'm not going to do it and fall on my face. I'm doing it out of passion. I'm doing it out of love. So there's no way I'm not going to be successful. And I just kind of, use that. And ever since, it's just been, sharing my gifts, and the more selfless you are in sharing your gifts, the more you'll realize that, everything that you want is gonna, is going to be yours because you are giving, right? Life is like a bank account, right? Since we both bankers, we could talk bank talk, right? Mm-hmm. It's like life is like a bank account. You can't withdraw more than you deposit, right? So if you keep depositing money, it doesn't matter. Whenever you want to make that withdrawal, you'll be able to withdraw. The problem is, people are not making deposits, and they're looking at their life and saying, why can't I withdraw money from this account? Why isn't life treating me the way it's supposed to be treating me? But because you're not making deposits, and you make deposits by giving. You make deposits by giving of your gifts, by giving of yourself, by giving of your talents. You have to give. You have to make the world better. And as you do that, as you walk in your purpose, as you walk in your gifts, that's, life will reward you. You're not going to be overdrawn because you're making those deposits.
Absolutely. And I appreciate everything you said, because you hit on some major points. So for all of the listeners who want to do something, you have this burning desire to give to the world and you're not giving it because you want everything to be perfect, I have news for you. Nothing is going to be perfect. And one of the things that I tell people to do is you need to operate in illogical order. What I mean by that is you got to start where you're at.
Absolutely.
And you got to learn as you go.
Yep.
You know, also another thing, you know, we live in a microwave society. People are always, you know, we put something in the microwave and, you know, it's a little seed and then it comes out as this big old meal, stuff that we see in the movies. For everyone who thinks that success happens overnight, it doesn't happen. You have to be very patient. Like Ashkaz said, it took him 10 years. Just like me. It took me 10 years to be an overnight success. You get what, so you have to be very patient. You have to act imperfectly. You have to do things in chronological order in order to get where you need to get. And this is one of the most important points I want to make to the listeners. You have a gift. You are being used as a vessel to convey a message in your story to someone who needs it. And the longer you suppress it within yourself, that person is starving to death for your story.
Absolutely.
You know, so I want you to understand that. So, you know, we flowing, we talking about all the great things about, you know, our movements, but let's talk about some of the roadblocks or circumstances that almost prevented you from starting your movement. Did you have any of those?
Man, so absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, man. Like I think, you know, there's been a lot of, you know, roadblocks and a lot of, you know, things that almost stopped it. You know, I think one, you know, I'll call it the paycheck paralysis, right? Where, you know, when I decided to you know, to go full time as an entrepreneur, I was making, you know, I was in the banking industry, I was making great money. And so, you know, to be able to walk away from that and, you know, kind of take a step back in order to take a step forward was very, very difficult. There's been many times where I've taken a step back and then, you know, had to take a step forward and then had to take another step back. You know, there's times where, you're leading with your passion, but your finances, your bills, you know, they haven't caught up yet to your passion. So there's been times where, you know, I remember in 2011, you know, I almost lost my house. I almost, you know, was a victim to foreclosure because, you know, I left, you know, I took that leap of faith. There were some things that I didn't properly plan for financially. I didn't realize, you know, the business I was getting into was a business that worked in cycles. So that you know, during the summertime, I might not get paid as much as I will in the fall. I didn't take that into consideration. So the money wasn't coming in as you know, as much as it needed to handle my bills. So that was one of the roadblocks. You know, do I give up? Do I say, man, this thing is not happening? You know, I almost lost my house. You know, married, kids. You know, so am I going to just go back and just get a 9-to-5 and just say that's it? You know, I'm not going to chase my dream, or am I going to take this as a lesson and keep moving forward? You know, that was one roadblock. Then you think about support systems, right? You think about, you know, someone who, you know, I would love to have a support system, you know, of like friends and family that, you know, that support me. But the vision, right? You know, they may not necessarily see the vision that was given to me. And so I'm expecting them to see my vision. I'm expecting them to say, you know, I see your vision, so I'm gonna fully support you. But when they don't fully support you, you start to question yourself. Why aren't they supporting me? Is this a good idea? Should I have done this? You start being resentful at people and start saying to yourself, they're not supporting me. So now you start second guessing, you know, your gifts, second guessing what God told you, right? God gave you the vision and he gave the vision to everybody else. Mm-hmm. So, you know, so that was another roadblock trying to figure out, man, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? You know, is this the right time to do it? So, you know, I think, you know, the paycheck paralysis, not getting the support that I needed, has been really like the main two, you know, roadblocks. But at the end of the day, you know, having that different perspective, having that different mindset, being clear about why you're doing what you're doing, is gonna get rid of any roadblock. You know, you know, I have this saying that it's always too early to quit, right? So no matter what's happening in your life, it's always too early to quit. I don't care what happens. You got to keep going until, right? You use the example like with fathers, right? We have kids. And when you think about your child, I have my daughter's 8, my son is 1.5, right? My daughter, she started walking at 10 months, right? And, she went through the regular process of walking. And then all of a sudden, I have my son, and at 10 months, I'm looking at him like, all right, come on, let's walk, right? But he's not walking. And I'm saying, all right, so do I now say, because my daughter walked at 10 months, that I'm going to stop trying with him? He's not going to, I'm just going to give up on him? Absolutely not, right? I'm going to keep working with him over and over and over again, not after 10 months. There's no time limit on when I'm going to work with him. I'm going to keep working with him until he walks, right? And whether he walks at a year old, 2 years old, I don't care how long it takes, he's going to walk, because I have made that commitment to be a teacher and teach him how to walk. Well, we do the same thing with our gifts, right? A lot of times we look at other people and say, it took this person this amount of time. It took this person this amount of time. Oh, it's not happening fast enough, so I'm going to give it a year. And if it doesn't happen in a year, then no. It's not about, if your dream is going to happen, it's when your dream is going to happen. So you have to have that conviction, that commitment, and say, you know what, I'm going to keep going regardless. And so, that's the mindset that I had to realize, that it's always too early to quit. And so regardless, now I look at things that regardless of, any obstacles, any roadblocks, it's not a way to tell me that my dream isn't valid. It's just a way to say, okay, take a step back, assess your situation. What can you learn from the situation to move you forward? And that's the paradigm that has been helping me from situation to situation, from success to success. And it's a nonstop journey, because that's what it's about. Life is about the journey, not the destination. You got to keep working every day towards that journey to learn, and to pour into people to live the life that you're supposed to live.
Man, I swear Ashcash is a brother from another mother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you, because, I look at, entrepreneurship is a journey, it's not a destination. But like in some of my other podcasts, this has always come up, the validation thing. Now, we've been indoctrinated into what society makes success looks like.
Absolutely.
Okay, go to school, get a good job, blah, 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 blah. All of that stuff. But one thing I can tell you is, anybody who's seeking validation from others, you have to stop seeking validation from others. Let me tell you why. What happens is, you're going to talk to people who don't have the same level of commitment to success that you have, or they're not called to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
So what happens is, when you seek validation from other people, what happens is they tend to take their self-doubt and their negativity, and they try to bestow it upon you.
Absolutely.
So I would encourage you to, if you are called to do something, it's good to hear from your family, your friends, that, that they support your vision. But again, you've been called to do something as a vessel to do that.
Right.
You have been called to do something else. So stop seeking validation, start making it happen, start leveling up yourself with people who have like minds and can encourage you versus bring you down with them.
Absolutely. And you make a good point, because, at the end of the day, and that's what I had to realize, at the end of the day, when somebody is telling you you can't do something, it's because they don't believe they can do it, right? It has nothing to do with you. And so when you're sharing your dream with somebody, you got to be careful, right? If you're sharing your dream with somebody, if they're looking at their perception of you and their perception of themselves. And so because of that, because they're looking at their perception of you, their perceptions of themselves, they're trying to impose their limitations onto you. But again, your higher power gave you this gift because the gift is yours, right? Like it fits you. It's your size. It's custom fit exactly for you. So for you to be able to look for validation and hope that somebody else is going to approve of something that they don't even have the right to prove it, right? They're not even the person that can say yes or no. So you have to, and that's where that unwavering faith comes in. That's why when you asked earlier about what belief system or what mindset did I have to have, it's that unwavering belief in myself. Right? It's that unwavering belief that even if 100 people say, yo, Ash, you are crazy, bro. Like, why are you even doing this? You're wasting your time. If 100 people told me that, I have to have that belief system in myself that says, you know what? This is what I believe. And almost to the point where you're delusional. I'm talking about like almost to the point where, you know, they're going to be some smart people. I'm talking about some smart, educated people who are going to look at what you're doing and going to tell you that you're crazy for doing it. And you have to have unwavering faith to say, you know what, I'm going to do this because this is what I've been called to do. And it's bigger than logic. You know, a lot of people put too much, you know, and I'm not saying logic is not, you know, is not correct sometimes. But at the end of the day, when it comes to your dreams, when it comes to your aspirations, you know, you have to do what's in your heart. Your heart is never going to lead you astray. And don't give so much credit to logic, because logic, you know, like logic is not, you know, is not the friend of dreams and aspirations. It's actually the opposite. It'll tell you to do things, it'll lead you to a mediocre life. It'll lead you to an ordinary life. So just understand that. Understand that what you're probably wanting to do may sound crazy. People may not approve. So you know what you do? Get yourself around other crazy people who have achieved their dreams, other crazy people who are delusional. And together, you guys will be delusional together and delusional in order to change the world.
And I mean, amazing, man. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better. And the bottom line is, as an entrepreneur, there has to be a level of insanity. There has to be a level of unreasonableness. It has to be a level of being unrealistic, you know, because again, you're doing something that is not the norm of what society depicts to be what success supposed to look like. So, I mean, and then another thing, I always encourage entrepreneurs who are looking at other entrepreneurs and comparing them, going on Instagram or looking at how many followers they have and all of this stuff. Start minding your own business.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And watch your business grow.
Yep.
You know, so Cash, so how has becoming an entrepreneurial leader impacted your life and others?
Oh, man, you know, I think for me, the greatest joy I get is having other entrepreneurs, other leaders, other people to be able to let me know that I've helped them in their business, in their life. And so, you know, similar to what I said earlier about just making deposits, you know, I'm blessed, man. You know, like I live a pretty decent life. And I think that, you know, that all comes from being able to give to others, right? So if you want to be successful, help others be successful. If you want love, give other people love. If you want happiness, make other people happy. And I've lived by this universal law. And because I live by this law, I've been able to, you know, achieve some great things, man. A lot of the things I've done, you know, they weren't easy to get, but I've been really, you know, at a young age, been able to really conquer a lot of big mountains. And that's really because, you know, from a selfless perspective, I love to see people win. I love to be able to be part of that win. I love to be able to be behind the scenes and to be able to give some advice, and based on that advice, help people maximize their full potential. So, you know, being, you know, an entrepreneurial leader is really about showing people that we all have greatness within us, you know, and that's how, you know, I always look at myself as a coach. You know, I look at myself as, you know, when you think about Phil Jackson, one of the great coaches, Pat Riley, you know, a lot of them, you know, they had some great players, but what they did was they inspired these players to maximize their full potential, right? So, you know, Phil Jackson, you know, helped Michael Jordan be the best Michael Jordan he could be, right? He had the abilities. Mike had the abilities, but Phil helped him maximize those. And that's what I do. You know, I help people, you know, see the greatness within themselves, quiet all of the noise that the world is trying to give them, and see the greatness within themselves. And in that greatness, they are allowed to shine. Right. And so you made a good point also. And this talks into, you know, being an entrepreneur leader, is that this comparison thing is going, you know, what's the quote? There's a quote that says that if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to think it's dumb, right? Because the fish is made to swim in water. It's not made to climb a tree. So if you start comparing yourself, even, I don't care how much the journey looks similar. I don't care how much you may think that you're going down the same path as somebody. You know, your path is totally different. So people have to realize that. Like, you have to realize that you have a certain gift and you have to follow that gift. And so for me, you know, my job, in this world is to really just allow people to see within themselves what that gift is and to maximize that gift by all means. And by doing that, I've been able to really, be fulfilled in life, not only from, a personal standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, but even, let's not kid ourselves, but from a material standpoint as well, because, I don't think that material is the only blessing that you could get, but it is a blessing. Right. So there's family could be a blessing. What you do as a career could be a blessing. But then also, as you're in this world, some of the things that you're able to experience, whether it's the ability to go on vacation, the ability to drive a nice car, the ability to live in a nice house or whatever that is a blessing as well. So, just being able to pour into others allows, God to pour into me and be able, and again, I live a pretty good life. So I enjoy, being somebody who can coach others to see the best in themselves.
Nice. And from what we talked about earlier in this podcast about, money being the root of all evil, start, changing that relationship with money, because
Absolutely.
What money does, like you said, it gives you access.
Absolutely.
Use money as access to be able to share your gift that you're called to give to the world.
Yep.
Money gives you access to live a nice life. There's nothing wrong with, having nice things and lavish things, but, we just have to start changing that paradigm shift of your relationship with money.
And not to cut you off, but I'll give you another point too. Like, and this analogy has been used before, but I'll use it again. When you think about going into the airplane, so if you ever traveled anywhere, you go to the airplane, and the first thing that the flight attendant would tell you, that in case of emergency, right, some oxygen is going to drop down, and we need you to take the oxygen and make sure that you put the oxygen on your face first, right? And then once you put the oxygen on your face and you take care of yourself, then you are in the position to be able to help others. Man. So when I talk about, being able, like when I talk about material things, I talk about being able to take care of yourself. It's important because how can I pour into you if I'm not pouring into myself? How can I help you maximize your full potential if I have not maximized my full potential? Absolutely. So this paradigm of people thinking that, taking care of themselves or wanting the best for themselves is selfish. No, that is actually a prerequisite to helping others. You can't help others if you're not in a position to help others. And if I was watching something with Yana Von Zana. She said, if you help others before helping yourself, you made them a thief. Like they're stealing from you because you're not even whole and you're still giving stuff away. That cup needs to flow over. So it's really about changing that mindset and realizing that first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself. And as you take care of yourself, you are in a position to be able to help others maximize their full potential.
Absolutely. And the reason why I'm sitting here chuckling is because in my office right now, I can pull it off of the wall. And that was the biggest thing when I got on the plane that has always stuck with me.
Yeah.
I have it, and I'm looking at it right now. It says, secure your mask first before securing others.
Oh man, we kid for real, bro.
And then I have under that, I have the actual picture of, the putting the mask on first, because if you're in a burning building, you have your children, God forbid, and you secure their mask first, you're gonna die in it.
Absolutely. And
then they're not gonna be able to self-preserve themselves because you're the person that brings that to them.
Absolutely.
Now, wow, it's just crazy that you had that there, man. And it's just and I have under that, take a stand for the Duncan Empire.
Mm.
Like Dame Dash said, I work for my last name.
Right, I hustle for my last name. Absolutely, not for my first. Absolutely,
not for my first. And another thing I always also want to just encourage people to, like if you're in a situation where your business is not where it needs to be, or you're stuck in your own way, whatever it is, the real reason being you're stuck in your own way because you're making it about you.
Absolutely.
Remember,
absolutely.
You said we were ordained or called to do things as a vessel.
Absolutely.
We have to share. I know it's hard when you first coming out and you got bills to pay and you got things to do. But the more you give, I promise you, the more you will receive.
Absolutely.
And we're not telling you to give in order with the mindset of, receiving anything. It will come in drones. I promise you.
Absolutely.
So we know that you have 2 best-selling Amazon books, bestsellers on Amazon. Tell the listeners, what are some of your favorite books and what are you reading right now?
No, absolutely. So my favorite book of all time is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's the book that helped change my mindset. That's the book that, allowed me to just look at life differently and open me up. I read a lot, like, The Celestine's Prophecy is one of my favorite books. The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho is one of my favorite books. I'm really into, things that help develop the mind. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The Power of Ambition by Jim Rohn, which is a great book. Chicken Soup for the Soul by Jack Canfield. So I love a lot of those books. Right now, I'm actually reading a book called A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson. And Marianne Williamson, Return to Love is about A Course of Miracles. So I don't know if anybody's ever heard of A Course of Miracles. It's been referenced a lot. It's like the spiritual Bible. So if you ever want to, get your spirit, and I don't mean to call it a Bible because I don't want to offend anybody, but it's the book that a lot of people go to, as it relates to spirituality. And it's a really big book. It's a really expansive book. So what A Return to Love does is really kind of breaks down this A Course of Miracles, into bite-sized chunks. So you still should read A Course of Miracles. I have the book. I tried to read it. I couldn't really get into it. So right now I'm into A Return to Love, which is really, teaching you more about the Course of Miracles. And so that's what's currently, on my reading list.
Nice. And what I'm definitely going to list all of those books, and on the website, so Excellent. People could, definitely look into that. And you talked about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. I just bought another copy because for some apparent reason, people, family, and friends come to my house and these books turn up missing.
Right.
Laws of 58, the 48 Laws of Power. All of these books come up missing, and no one knows. Right. And another thing too, that I want people to understand. See, Think and Grow Rich is a compilation of successful leaders. Uh-huh. And this is what the Distinguished Gentleman podcast is all about. I have the Ash Cashes of the world and all of my other guests, in addition to my story, to use this as a Think and Grow Rich on a podcast level.
Absolutely.
This is why I created this. So, if you're not a person that likes to read books, which you should get into audiobooks, because the ingredients are already there.
Absolutely.
We're trying to reinvent the wheel when the wheel is already there for us to replicate and put our genius on top of it. What would you say are what are the 3 most important mindset hacks you think someone should know who is preparing to become a leader in the world?
Absolutely. So again, I can't say this enough. Number 1 is unwavering belief in yourself. Having unwavering belief in yourself is first and foremost would be the first mindset hack. The second mindset hack would be to be intentional. Right. So to be intentional about what you're doing. And that's important because when you are doing things, a lot of times you may be doing them for the wrong reason and may not even realize that you're doing them for the wrong reason. And the way the universe works, it gives you exactly what you intend. So if your intention is to get over on somebody, that's the energy that you're attracting. If your intention is to help people, that's the energy that you're attracting. So be intentional about why you're doing what you're doing. Start with the end in mind. What does a successful business look like for you? What does being a leader look like for you? What do you want to get out of that? And then if you lead with your intention, you're going to create a business that can't fail because your intention is where it is. And then the last thing is to change the way you look at things, right? Is to make sure your perspective is in the right space, because again, a lot of times I don't necessarily believe in negative or positive. It's really about perspective. So if you have the right perspective in everything that you do, and you look at things, like Wayne Dyer, one of my favorite guys, Wayne Dyer says, change the way you look at things, and the things that you look at will change. Right. So it's really about, having the right perspective and saying, what is this situation? How can this situation help me grow? Is this a situation that, like, what lesson am I trying to learn, from the situation? Because the universe has a funny way of giving us the same things over and over and over again. It might be in different ways, but it gives us the same thing until we actually realize or we learn the lesson. And the only way we're going to learn lessons in life is by changing our perspective. So it's important to change our perspective. So I would say, those are the three hacks. Really have unwavering belief in yourself, be intentional about what you're putting out to the universe, and change your perspective and look at things the right way.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. Because another thing about being intentional, when you're not intentional about something, everything becomes accidental.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, and again, this podcast is for all of the men who've been trying to connect the dots of their lives, connect the dots, and they haven't. What we're doing is we're helping you manage your imperfections through our voices. And, I just wanted everybody to know that, Ashcash has definitely dropped some jewels on us, man, and I really appreciate that. So Ashcash, so tell the listeners where they can find you via social media.
No, absolutely. So I am on everything, I am Ashcash. So I'm on, if you go to my website is www.iamashcash.com. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/iamashcash. I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/iamashcash. One of the good things is that I'm also Googleable. So, I just made that word up. You know what I mean? So if for whatever reasons you can't find me out there, you can Google Ashcash, and I'm there, very responsive. Again, I believe that I've been put on this earth to help others. So I do respond to, I'm not Hollywood. Like, I don't send no one to my assistant or, what I'm saying? Like, I answer, be patient though, because I am busy. So, be patient, but I will respond. So yeah, so you can definitely find me online everywhere.
And I know that firsthand because I've been hunting down Ashcash for a minute.
Absolutely.
I finally caught him on Facebook.
Yep.
Doing a live, motivational speech, I believe, at a CUNY school. And so hey, listen, you got to be persistent as an entrepreneur. Got to watch it. You got to mind your business and watch it grow. You got to have an unwavering belief, talked about. And, I just thank you for that. So I would like to thank my guest, Ashcash, for being on the Distinguished Gentleman podcast. And remember, the day before you quit is the day before you succeed. So never give up. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? For more information, show notes, downloads, and free resources, head to www.damianandtamisha.com, where you can find out more about this week's episode and the power couple behind it all.